Hello, and welcome back to Retrieving Sanity with your podcast host, Keegan. And this is your podcast for all mental health, addiction, recovery issues, and topics. And today we have a very special guest, and his name is Georges
Yes.
Cordoba. I keep wanting to switch it back to Jorge's
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know why. But anyways, Georges, tell me about yourself. Where are you from? What's your story been like so far in life?
Yeah. Well, I was born in Caracas, Venezuela, in South America,
Okay.
of parents from Madrid, Spain, and Athens, Greece. They
Okay.
migrated to Venezuela after World War II.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was born in Caracas and raised there. At the age of
Uh-huh.
17, when I graduated from high school, I came to the States as an exchange student to learn. I repeated my senior year in high school here in Illinois, small town, and that was the idea, so I could learn the language.
Oh.
And then I head back to Venezuela and won an athletic tennis scholarship to play here NCAA Division One tennis, and that's really what started my life in the States. I was able to study software engineering for free. Well, not for free. I had to make the team, if I wanted to keep my full ride scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
So I managed that, and I graduated. I had my bachelor's in computer science. Later on, I kept teaching tennis for a while. I
Uh-huh.
was hired to be an assistant pro at a pretty nice country club here in New Mexico, the state of New Mexico, where I live now. And But I did get hired by IBM, and I moved to Miami, Florida, and
Cool.
just started my IT career per se,
Uh-huh.
and which I basically worked on that in my career for 25 years, and I became a CTO, Chief
Oh, cool.
Technology Officer, and about a year and a half into my new position, I was diagnosed with advanced cancer.
Oh,
And
no.
not only that, but I have to share, Keegan, that on my Greek side of the family, when I looked at the family landscape, I really thought I was doomed. At the age of 4, I actually remember this, losing
Mm-hmm.
my grandfather, the Greek. This is the Greek side of the family, of colon cancer. Then
Oh.
his two brothers passed from colon cancer. Not They were not living in Venezuela, but I heard about that.
Mm-hmm.
And then an aunt, and so forth, until then my grandfather, my
Mm-hmm.
godfather, my mother's brother, and then my mom passed away from cancer 3 weeks before I was diagnosed. So I
Oh,
couldn't
no.
even mourn her. My kids were in shock. We just, but I believed. I grew up believing, and talk about the secret, believing that cancer would, since it took everybody's life, nobody survived it, I would
Mm-hmm.
be doomed. And somehow, I think I attracted this situation, and I got
Mm-hmm.
sick with cancer. At that time, was already moving through my lymph nodes. It was melanoma,
Oh, no.
and
Mm-hmm.
so, just to make it short, I started a journey. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything else, the mind one of the rules of the mind is that the mind goes to what is familiar, and for all of
Mm-hmm.
us, particularly in the Western societies, what's familiar is to go to traditional or conventional treatment of chemo and radiotherapy. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. I have doctors in the family. So that was the only choice I could. My mind just had no other choice, which
Yeah.
is crazy. Still, almost is. It's not as bad, but it's still very bad. People just go there, and
Mm-hmm.
um, and then you start the journey of just going to, in a way, giving all your power to somebody that you hired.
Mm-hmm.
This doctor you hired, you're paying them a lot of money to help you heal.
Mm-hmm.
And but it wasn't working.
Oh,
And
man.
so after 7 years of, and thank God I was able to be, um, to have surgeries in most of my recurrences.
Mm-hmm.
I fought the disease for 10 years and I had 10 surgeries, including
Wow.
4 brain surgeries because my
Ooh.
metastasis went to the brain. And
Wow.
I had 4 craniotomies, 2 gamma knives, and there were 2 tumors that were not operable, and I'll tell you in a while. But
Mm-hmm.
on year when I had my first craniotomy, my second craniotomy, they
Mm-hmm.
gave me this new drug that apparently would uh, trespass the brain,
Uh-huh.
and it was in capsules. And to give you an idea, each capsule was a $1,000. I ha- I had to take Monday to Friday. Then I will take a break the next week, and it's every other week, Monday to Friday. But on my sixth, you know, let's say dose,
Uh-huh.
um, I was doing so bad with this, and I was going already year 8. So it was
Uh-huh.
surgery, treatment, remission, recurrence, surgery, treatment, remission. So on year 8, when they
Mm-hmm.
gave me this, and right after my agronomy, I took that one capsule, and 3 hours later, the way I was feeling, I mean, I thought I just was on an extremely high dose
Mm-hmm.
cocaine, or some of these drugs that really put you like on the roof. And I was
Oh no.
shaking, and I told my wife, I'm a person of faith, but
Mm-hmm.
I just did a lot of meditation on this, and I said, look,
Mm-hmm.
this is not a lifestyle, man. I mean, every year, and then maybe some two surgeries in a year. This is not working for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
took my first leap of faith on year 8, and I said, you know what, I'm stopping all conventional stuff, and I'm going to go the holistic, natural health to survive. And here I
Uh-huh.
am. This past July was my 12th year cancer free. And
Congratulations.
but needless to say, the effect that nobody wants to hear this,
Mm-hmm.
that they are diagnosed with cancer. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
I don't wish that to anyone, but
Mm-hmm.
I did. And at the moment, we had 5 young children,
Mm-hmm.
14, 12, a pair of twins that there were 9, and the only girl, Claudia, she
Mm-hmm.
was 7. And so that brought a lot more anxiety for me. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
wow, what's going to happen? I'm doing great on my career, my wife too. We go to trips, and I was a coach. I kept playing tennis for money in
Mm-hmm.
certain tournaments. So type A guy going at 1,000 miles an hour, and I got sick.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting because the doctors in my family talk about what's familiar, and obviously they went and went through the curriculum dictated by the pharmas, by the way.
Yeah.
And no, George, you're crazy. You're okay. It's gonna eventually. You're an athlete. You're fine. And I said, no, I know myself. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
go natural. I'm gonna detox. These
Mm-hmm.
7 years of chemo and radiotherapy and trauma. I mean, the craniotomy is particularly, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
be put to sleep for 10 hours and this and that. I wrote a book about this, by the way. It
Oh
became a
wow.
bestseller with my experience
Oh.
about going the holistic route to
Mm-hmm.
heal. And so yeah, at year 7, I made that decision. I went to a naturopath. I learned so much about the pH balance and our health. I wrote an ebook
Mm-hmm.
about that, which I'm
Oh
going to
wow.
send you
Oh,
as a
thank you.
token of gratification, and also to your audience. That
Oh.
I'll give you the information and where they can get it, or contact me, and we can definitely talk for a few minutes and give them some tips, and then give them these gifts. It's a couple of gifts. The
Oh, that's
ebook
very
and a
kind of you.
table with that describes the acidic foods and the alkaline
Mm-hmm.
foods, so you learn how to
Mm-hmm.
actually balance your plate. You don't have to go crazy to go vegan or keto, or as a nutritionist that I am now.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
obviously, when I made my shift, I started to really work on I became a nutritionist and a Reiki
Mm-hmm.
master,
Oh,
then
nice.
holistic health coach, transformational coaching, and last year I became a hypnotherapist, and
Oh,
all
nice.
this to help my clients. And
Huh.
so I work with folks that are dealing with cancer or they want to prevent it. I
Mm.
just did a talk in Toronto,
Mm-hmm.
and I just basically gave the state of health in Canada and the US. In
Mm-hmm.
the US, so you know, almost 50% of the nation today, almost 50% of adults, 47.9% of adults have one or two chronic diseases.
Oh, wow.
This is crazy, and we call
Huh.
healthcare. Then, on top of that, if we are not change, if we don't change any trends by 2030, half of our
Mm-hmm.
nation will be obese, man.
Jeez.
Obesity.
Yeah.
Imagine the amount of the cost to maintain. From obesity, you have pretty much every chronic disease that you can think of. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not really a healthy situation. That's why we lost so many people with COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Um, uh, and uh, and here's the other one with cancer. One of two men will have cancer in their lifetime in the U.S. Canada is not that far
Mm-hmm.
off,
Huh.
but here we do have a problem with obesity and all this stuff. And one of
Mm-hmm.
three women will have cancer in their lifetime. So the reason,
Wow.
now is why my shift in the beginning, I was working only with people with cancer. I was trying, basically,
Mm-hmm.
what I do is I help them transform their health and vitality. I cannot say they're going to heal, they'll shut me down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but if they do the work like I did when
Mm-hmm.
I take them through the holistic route, even though many, only four in 8 years that I've been doing this,
Mm-hmm.
took that leap of faith to go completely. The
Oh,
rest
wow.
continue to go with their chemo, but they
Mm-hmm.
start feeling better. The doctors are saying, "Man, your cancer is going down. We're
Mm-hmm.
gonna lower the dose and stuff like that." And so
That's
but that's
awesome.
what I do.
Huh.
And it's interesting. I say in my book that my survival experience was a blessing,
Mm-hmm.
Keegan, because and the universe, God gave me the chance to sing the song I was born to sing, which is helping people to live
Mm-hmm.
in wellness and purposely. When
Yeah.
when I with my clients, when we like, my program is 3 months, but it usually goes a little longer. Anyway, I
Huh.
tell them, uh, when you heal, are you going to be the same person? And after all the stuff that they learn about how to eat, their emotional clutter, their mental clutter, the lack of spirituality, which is really the connection with nature and all stuff, that's
Mm-hmm.
how it worked. And that's why it takes so long,
Uh-huh.
90 days. But when we get there, they want to continue a little more because they want
Mm-hmm.
they want to feel the accountability and the support.
Yeah.
So yeah, and so here I am right now. I do speaking. I'm invited to go and do speaking in different places, like now in Toronto. Maybe I
Oh,
go to
wow.
Mexico. Spanish is my first language, so
Mm-hmm.
I do the coaching for both cultures. Here in the
Mm-hmm.
U.S., we have nearly 50 million Hispanics, so
Mm-hmm.
and people that
That's a
are
lot.
working and they were born here and so forth. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's been a very it's very easy to say in a few minutes, but it was it was, by the way, it was a financial tsunami.
Mm.
We had college plans for each of the five kids already going, even my youngest, Claudia,
Mm-hmm.
uh 401ks, IRAs, and we
Wow.
had to tap into all that because I for a while, for 18 months, I couldn't work, so I had to
Mm-hmm.
resign my CTO or situation.
Mm-hmm.
Then later on, I was rehired by a different company, but I
Oh,
had to
okay.
resign, and our
Mm.
income just went way down. And by year two, we had exhausted our co-payments and stuff, so
Mm.
everything was debt, medical debt, health debt, and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So but I can say now, and we discuss it, the kids now, I'm a grandfather now,
Uh-huh.
they say that
Congratulations.
all that experience of fearing that I would go like their grandma,
Mm-hmm.
um, and seeing me fighting it and stuff. That it made them stronger.
Mm-hmm.
They can say now, wow, if my dad this stuff, this whatever little mountain I have to move now, it's nothing compared to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Holy cow, man.
Yeah. So some people ask me, what how did you decide? What was
Mm-hmm.
the key,
Yeah.
to you deciding to stop in a fearless way?
Mm-hmm.
But we're human. Our ego makes sure that they want to, because of the anxiety of protect us. That's what we don't get out of our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew that. I read a lot of motivating stuff to be a better tennis competitor. And
Yeah.
I think because of um, my competition, that I had already in me, in my DNA,
Mm-hmm.
I began to see cancer as my toughest opponent. And with
Yeah.
my faith, I thought, this is the toughest mountain I have to move, but I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
move it. I'm going to be the first person in my family that beats the odds, and will survive this thing. And
Uh-huh.
so I took a mindset of doing that. And also, I have to say, that's why I'm a holistic health coach.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I this is what I tell my prospects when we're going to talk. They're interested of joining my program. I talked about this metaphor, the four legs of the table. One of the legs
Mm-hmm.
is your physical body. The other leg is your emotional body.
Mm-hmm.
The third leg is your mental self, and then your spiritual self.
Mm-hmm.
If one of those legs is missing, we cannot eat on that table. And if
Uh-huh.
all of them are pretty loose, which happens to a lot of us, it's
Yeah.
very hard to eat on that table. Eventually, one of the legs will fall.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I did a lot of research. I didn't have a coach at the time, but I
Mm-hmm.
really used this universal law. All the masters and different, Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, all these
Mm-hmm.
guys said the same thing, in terms of faith. And then I found out what is faith really. And
Uh-huh.
I thought, well, I looked at it, and really faith means the certainty of what you want, because you
Mm-hmm.
know that if you take action, there's something out there bigger than us, I call it God, that will
Mm-hmm.
help, but we must take action. One of
Mm-hmm.
the apostles wrote that we needed to show our faith with our actions, because faith without
Mm-hmm.
action is dead. So
Yeah.
I took that, and I also took another important thing that all avatars say, which is, when you seek, you will
Mm-hmm.
find. So I was
Mm-hmm.
looking around everything, what to eat, in terms of like mushrooms or things like that you could get that are very good for your. Don't get me wrong, for your immune system, things like that. Um,
Uh-huh.
Different supplements, and in doing that, I started when I made the decision to go natural. It's almost like the universe started to conspire for me. So I
Mm-hmm.
started, in the book, I call them angels, people that I had no idea they would step forward.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it was just healing, which is another part that I explain in the book. Forgiveness, or I'm sorry, receiving.
Mm-hmm.
If you open yourself to receive, man, things happen. But the thing is, with us, is it is easier to give than to receive. And
Mm-hmm.
an example is, you might go to have a lunch with a friend, and then when they bring the bill, they want to pay, and you go, no, 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 please don't do it, or vice
Yeah.
versa. And
Uh-huh.
I learned to, if somebody really wants to give you something, you can tell that they want to give it to it.
Mm-hmm.
I open up and I say, man, thank you, with
Yeah.
gratitude. I'm
Mm-hmm.
writing a book now, two more books. One is the
Nice.
healing power of forgiveness, and I'll tell you in
Mm-hmm.
a little bit about that. And
Okay.
also the miracles formula. What I just
Oh.
told you, Keegan,
Mm-hmm.
that's how miracles happen. If I want to
Yeah.
give you something, especially when And if you go to the book of law, for example, the Bible, the New Testament, Jesus's miracles, he never says, "Oh, I'm God's son," and no, he said, "Your faith, Keegan,
Mm-hmm.
has healed you. Your faith, Georges, has healed you." And you look
Mm-hmm.
at all of them, it was really the openness to receive what this man was, as a man, was going to give us. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how you heal. When if you give me something from your heart and I open my heart to receive it, a channel opens where God can perform the miracles.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you see people, wow, I ask, but I don't receive. What happens is, and this is something that I teach my clients, you receive it. It's being sent to you if it's good for you. The one that
Mm-hmm.
blocks it is us because we don't feel worth receiving. Somewhere
Mm-hmm.
in our inside, we don't
Yep.
feel worth receiving.
Mm-hmm.
So it is really an amazing journey. And when I see people now, fear and all this stuff is normal. It's
Mm-hmm.
normal, but they feel comfortable to say, man, this guy did it. And he
Yeah.
even did it in a radical way. He stopped all this stuff. I
Uh-huh.
was lucky though, because my oncologist, he asked me, "Are you sure, Georges?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm sure, but I would appreciate if you keep doing follow-ups for me." And he
Yeah.
agreed. So that was good. For a year and a half, I continued to do some MRIs and stuff like that. I knew they were a little toxic, but not like receiving
Mm-hmm.
all this stuff that I was receiving basically on a yearly basis for almost 8 years. So,
Yeah. Oof.
yeah,
Holy cow. Georges, you have quite the story.
yeah.
So, first of all, I gotta say, I'm really glad that you were able to take that giant leap of faith and able to survive it, and especially
Hmm.
this long. Uh, you really just kicked it in the butt all the way through and through. It sounds
Yes,
like, and you're actually going out there and you're helping people do the same thing. And I love that you're actually being a little bit more preventative about it as well.
hmm,
Uh, so, I mean, not a lot of people do that. A lot of people kind of go like, "I did it," and then they just go back to their life. But
absolutely. And one of the things that here's a couple tips for the audience, a few, one from each leg of the table. But let
mhm,
me start with the very first one because every disease manifests in our bodies. Now, here's something that wasn't taught to us. Well, actually, some of these things were found now lately, the last 10 years. But all chronic disease, without exception, start in an inflamed body,
mhm,
and we inflame our bodies via our digestion. It's not so much what we eat. I'll tell you in a second, but it is important, obviously.
mhm,
But we disrupt our digestion through very different ways. Maybe we're stressed out when we eat. We're in a hurry. We just heard a song that reminds us of a not a good experience that we had earlier in our life, or we're always polluting serotonin and cortisol,
mhm,
and that inflames our body. But if on top of that you don't understand, and forget dieting, that doesn't work. As a
mhm,
nutritionist, I can tell you that if you learn how to eat and not what to eat, who you must be when you're eating, you will never get sick and you will never inflame your body. Here's the deal:
huh,
most of the average time, chew time in the U.S. is 6 times before we swallow,
mhm.
and
I can see
the
that.
average eating 8 to 10 minutes, and they're undergo. So
Mhm,
if you repeat that 3 times a day, and then you do that 30 times, 90 times a month,
mhm,
eventually you're gonna get sick. Because what happens is, depending on what we put in our mouth, we have to
mhm,
chew up to 32 times. Which, believe it or not, for example, a steak,
uh-huh,
or any type of meat, you have to chew it more than mashed potatoes,
yeah,
or anything that is soft, any greens and stuff. And
mhm,
so knowing that you need to at least chew for 22 times, 20 times, and slow down when you eat, you're gonna really avoid, because what happens, our digestion starts in our mouth. So when we chew it,
Mm-hmm.
our saliva enzymes are processing the food. So if we do it right, when we swallow, the stomach does the work that it has to do. But if you just swallow and send a bomb to the stomach does not. It's, our body's not designed for the stomach to take care now. Oh man, oh, look what George did. He throw this stuff. It's not processed. What do I
It's
do? Well, the stomach decides to put it on fat, store it as fat, which becomes acidic. Not only that, because you eat fast and the stomach couldn't process, we don't pass the right nutrients to our bloodstream, and within about 2 hours, we're hungry again. And guess what? We binge again. We eat fast, and then we create this cycle that
mm-hmm.
is not good for us. And so, therefore, we starting, so just on the eating, we starting to accumulate fats in our body that are acidic. But if you are also stressed out,
Mm-hmm.
and you come in a hurry, you just had an argument with somebody in the street or whatever it was, a friend, or you are producing cortisol, and your
Mm-hmm.
vagus nerve, there's something called a vagus nerve, the connection gut
Mm-hmm.
and brain, says, hey, George's is it's really really anxious and stressed out, so we can't, right now we're more in a fight or flight mode than relax and digest mode.
Mm-hmm.
So the tip I wanted to tell you is the balanced pH, but also 25% when it comes to nutrition and digestion. 25%
Uh-huh.
is what we eat. 75% is who we are when we're eating. We must change that. I have a colleague, also,
Uh-huh.
health coach and survivor. He has, I quote one of his quotes in my book. He says, cancer is a divine touch in your shoulder, and that touch in the shoulder has a message.
Mm-hmm.
And that message is, hey, Georges, you must change your lifestyle because you're killing yourself.
Yeah.
And I see this weekend, last Saturday the 12th was my birthday. We celebrated since Friday. Thank you.
Happy
Yeah,
birthday.
I mean, now the birthdays are more special for me.
Oh yeah.
But I was just, I can't help now to notice stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
man, it's just it's amazing how people don't don't take care of themselves. They don't nourish themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
the problem is there. We don't think, we can't, if we don't give it, time for ourselves on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
It gets to a point that we get sick. No matter
Yeah.
what, we get sick, because we do need this time to nourish ourselves, being in silence. Just create a practice, even if it's 15 minutes a day in the middle of the day. I do it in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
but it's so important to take care of yourself, to understand yourself inside. Hey, I gotta slow down. So one of the tips is, when you put the food in your mouth, drop the fork and the knife. Just drop it. I have a few documents. There's one that is titled "Essential Eating," and
Uh-huh.
people say, "Well, what is this?" Well, enjoy it.
Yeah.
Eight out of 10 people, if not nine, are suffering from hunger in the world. So the first thing
Mm.
we can do is, hey man, I'm thankful for this plate that I have in front of me. Hey, check
Yeah.
out these beautiful colors in the plate, and that
Yeah.
tells you that you're eating kind of healthy. So,
Mm.
but I'm not a proponent of like extremes, like I told you,
Yeah.
veganism or this, and no, it's just teaching somebody how to have a balanced pH plate, and you can eat
Mm-hmm.
anything. We're not born here to be in a concentration camp. Plus, certain, yeah, and certain people. because of their metabolism or blood type, they need to have animal
Hmm.
protein. No questions asked.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Hmm. Wow. So it's just enjoying your food can change up how
Oh,
you.
absolutely. If you chew
Wow.
more, and this is
Hmm.
great point. If you chew more, and particularly like a nice piece of meat or chicken or anything, you're
Hmm.
gonna really savor that so much than just swallow it in
Hmm.
you go. That's what and when the whole thing of fast food started, things actually progressively got worse, because
Hmm.
it is true. I mean, we
Yeah.
were eating not too long ago. We went out for a trekking trip, and there was
Hmm.
nothing. And this past Memorial Weekend here in I live in the state of New Mexico,
Oh, okay.
and so there was nothing. We stopped in a at a Subway, and we
Hmm.
just ate a nice sandwich. And then there's this young guy that sits by us, with the foot long. I kid you not, this kid finished in about 3-4 minutes. I mean,
Dang.
he ate the stuff like if it was Jello. It's just, and a big Coke, which, by the
Oh
way,
no.
that is
That's like.
really a no-no. See, here's the deal with
Hmm.
the balanced pH, and this
Hmm.
is how this guy told me about it. He says, "Look, imagine you have a pool. If you put too much chlorine in there, it's impossible to go in there. It's too acidic. You can
Hmm.
damage your eyes, your skin. It has some health. It will provide, health
Hmm.
problems. But on the other hand, if you don't put enough, it will turn green, and then you have a different type of bacteria that's not good either,
Hmm.
especially for our blood if we swallow some of that water.
Yeah.
And so the trick is to have the right pH balance. And he
Hmm.
said this, and this is very important for your audience and for you and the people that I talk to.
Okay.
Disease cannot grow or start, let's say, in a body that is pH with a balanced pH. And that we just said that all disease start in an inflamed body with too acidic. So if
Hmm.
we manage to learn how to have and actually test that your pH is balanced, you
Hmm.
won't even get a cold, because you are just your immune system is working perfectly. If you do these tips that I just told you, it's too much
Hmm.
for just one episode, and people get all this. But I offer free discoveries and things like that. That's one
Okay.
thing. But if you already have a disease and you
Hmm.
start managing your balance and your pH balance,
Hmm.
you begin to eliminate the environment that these cancer cells thrive in, which is in an acidic body. Same with diabetes. Same with hepatitis or heart disease. All
Hmm.
chronic disease strive on an acidic body. And if you ask
Hmm.
10 people, I could tell you those 10 people, they're acidic. Most people right now are a walking disease to happen.
Hmm.
So that's really an amazing point, because if you manage your balance, a pH balance,
Hmm.
you have some sort of disease. Let's say you have cancer. By just
Hmm.
doing that, you're diminishing the uh, the environment of
Hmm.
with this, and obviously chemo and radios are very acidic. So you have
Hmm.
to do something to balance that.
Hmm.
If not, chances are that you're gonna, basically go into how they call remission, if you get there. But then you
Hmm.
have a recurrence. And speaking of recurrences, I have to
Hmm.
tell you, and you stop me whenever you feel like, or ask me a question. But in
Yeah.
terms of recurrences, they
Hmm.
will continue to surface until you find the root cause of
Hmm.
the cancer, and it's usually emotional for all diseases, not only cancer.
Really.
So one of the things, and I just finished the the outline. I started writing my second book. The third one is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the one of miracles. This one is the healing power of forgiveness.
Mm.
So I read about that.
Uh,
Somebody, an angel, gave me a book titled Emotional Intelligence.
mm.
Greeks and Spaniards, the Mediterraneans are very, were very intense and emotional, and maybe that's why they get sick. But but I started to look to my emotional clutter,
Mm.
and so I needed to kind of humble myself and going there, and this is the second leg of the table, the emotional,
Mm-hmm.
and and I started to work on forgiving some people and asking for forgiveness, and the toughest one, forgiving myself. But
Mm-hmm.
but it worked, man. It really lifted a piano. Talk about playing the piano, a piano from my shoulders that I
Oh
had
wow.
inside of my subconscious mind for years,
Oh
and
man.
most likely is what got me sick. That's
Wow.
on the emotional side. On the mental side,
Mm-hmm.
I was trained with psychologists when I was a youngster playing for the national junior team, and then
Mm-hmm.
when I was playing tennis here, I went to do a tournament, the Open in South America, and I got
Uh,
to the finals. And the guy that I was playing was about 80 years older than me, and he was one of my idols. He was from
mm-hmm.
Venezuela also. And
Huh.
but I said, I'm gonna beat this guy, and I was winning. It was a five
Mm-hmm.
setter, if you guys understand tennis. But it
Yeah.
was I had the match won, and the guy somehow won the four sets, and the final set
Oh
he won. He won like 7-5.
no.
But our coach, we had the same coach, uh,
Mm-hmm.
a French guy that was in Venezuela. I mean, we loved that guy, and he came to watch us. And
Mm-hmm.
when we finished, we both went to embrace him and say, "Hey, coach, you came! Wow, how great!" Um, and uh, and I was coming back to school on
Mm-hmm.
Friday the next week. On Tuesday, he called. I wasn't home, and he left a message that he wanted to invite me for lunch. For me, it was an honor because we always saw this guy like why he was a guru.
Uh-huh.
He was very good with the mind and all that. But so I went. I said, "Wow, what an honor!" So I went to have
Mm-hmm.
lunch with him, and so we started talking. He said, "Man, you're playing so good, and you had Fred, you had him beat,
Mm-hmm.
but it was here that you lost.
Yeah.
So I want to give you this book." And he gave me a gift, and in my best-selling book, this chapter is titled "A Gift for Life,"
Mm.
because the guy told me, "George, you're going towards your senior year now,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to play. You told me you're going to play number one doubles and maybe two or three singles,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't want this thing to happen again. In fact, when you read this book, you're going to come back from behind and win matches." So the book name, so people can listen to it, is "The Power of Your Subconscious Mind."
Mm.
And so I just basically ate that book. I read it and I had my best year.
Wow.
But he says something else. He says, not only is it going to help you with your tennis, but later on, it's going to help you in your life. And so when I was sick, I really used a lot of the techniques that this guy wrote in 1910,
Mm-hmm.
Dr.
Wow.
Murphy, Tom
Huh.
Murphy. And so another thing, now on the mental side, I did
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of visualizations. I would
Mm-hmm.
visualize, for example, this holy light or ray coming from heaven and just penetrating my scalp and going all through my body, melting
Mm-hmm.
any tumors that were in there. Or if I
Mm-hmm.
had an idea because the doctor said, look, this scan showed here, I would just visualize this light going through it. But I
Mm-hmm.
also use something else that some people laugh about it, but it worked several times a day. That
Mm-hmm.
light, that ray of light, and also the game Pac-Man. Remember that little creature eating the little
Yeah.
things around? Well, I saw this creature eating my tumors around all around my body.
It
So
works.
the mind and this is something else that I'll send to you and
Okay.
the audience. These are freebies, but they're very powerful. I mean, this copy is valuable. I'm going to send you the rules of the mind. One is that the
Oh.
mind goes to what's familiar, but there's
Mm-hmm.
11 others. And one of them is the mind goes to what you think, what you say, what you see,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes it happen sooner or later. AKA,
Uh.
I got cancer, fearing it for 40 years. I was
Mm.
diagnosed at the age of 42,
Mm-hmm.
and so another one is the thing to understand is when you affirm, when you do manifestations, your ego is going to say, "Ah, come on, you don't believe that." And you
Uh.
have to go over that for a while. Practice, practice, practice. The mind learns by repetition. So
Mm.
here's one thing, talking about the certainty of what you want, faith.
Mm.
I was certain that I really understood from the book this the guru tennis coach gave me, and other books that I read, emotional intelligence. I was certain that healing happened from the inside out, not
Mm.
from the outside in. And
Uh.
I was certain that by doing all this stuff that I had learned and from before, it would actually make the cancer go away,
Mm.
and it did. Now there's
That's
one
awesome.
other aspect, which is the spiritual part, which doesn't mean
Mm-hmm.
that you have to be religious. You can be
Mm-hmm.
spiritual and not religious, or religious and not spiritual, or both, which is that
Mm-hmm.
was my case.
Uh-huh.
Um, and I still today I say proudly that one of my the same my biggest mentor is Jesus as a man. He taught
Mm.
service and love, and basically, and I had no idea, but he spent a couple, almost 2 decades, actually,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, almost 2 decades in India.
Mm.
From the age of 13, nobody knows about Jesus until he was 30. So
Mm-hmm.
he was in India, in the Himalayan Hindu Himalayas. But with the spirituality, I have to say this:
Mm.
that's your connection to Source via our beautiful, beautiful Mother Earth, and
Mm-hmm.
which and I mean, we have to admit that all we have been doing is taking from her, and
Mm.
it's about time to kind of give back a little bit, and that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with ideologies or anything. This is something to live for our kids and grandkids, man.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And but there is also understanding that if you take action with good intentions, things will happen. If you, like I say, if you take action. Two of
Mm.
my 8 tumors in my brain after the 4 cannula mace and the
Mm-hmm.
gamma knives, which is targeted. Gamma knives are targeted. It's targeted
Neat.
radiotherapy. They put
Mm-hmm.
a thing on you, and the drill. But
Yeah.
there were two tumors that they couldn't get to. They were already a little large in my back lobe, and they were
Mm.
not operable.
Neat.
So they just say, "Well, we're gonna watch it. Watch them.
Mm-hmm.
We try. They try the chemo and all this stuff that I told you, and that's when I stopped. I stopped all that, and I have to tell you this real quick. I'm not sure how much time we have, but and this is for people to understand that they can do it too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not some crazy, angel or whatever. There's 8 million survivors going natural right now.
Wow.
This is in 2024. That was the expectation. I haven't done the numbers. And then obviously, 40-50% of those who start their stuff and get it early, they can. Mine was advanced already. But here's what happened. I all of a sudden had trouble again, and had this, MRI, and it showed my
Mm-hmm.
fourth. Um, for the necessity for a fourth craniotomy,
Mm-hmm.
and so we go to see the doctor, the neurologist, and he says, "Look, I'm going on vacation Friday." It was Monday, and
Mm-hmm.
so we could do it Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
but we're gonna have to do the procedure with local anesthesia because it's too close to your speech. So we don't want to damage that. We're gonna get there, and then we're gonna try. If it's not affected, you're gonna ask it. We're gonna ask you to say stuff. If you're okay, we'll put you to sleep and finish up. And also, well, remember we just looked. You have those two tumors right now from the last MRI. They haven't grown, but they're there, and they're that was it. So we go home, and I receive a phone call from my daughter's godfather's sister, who was a tennis player too. A bunch of these folks, like me, they came from Italian parents or Portuguese or from Europe, Germany. And so she said, look, George, I had a dream with you last night. That was Sunday. This is Monday night. She was kind of embarrassed to ask me. He goes, look, I had a dream with you and my brother, Fabio, and I'd like to invite you both to a prayer group in St. Louis's church tomorrow night. So it was Tuesday. She does. Oh, by the way, my wife and I decided not to tell anyone about this particular craniotomy because people were like, when is this guy gonna go? And actually, the doctors in the family, they were all just waiting for me because they said, no, this stats. George is gonna go. My wife was already almost clear, and so I said, "Yeah, I'll go." And I went. She said that there was a lady that had the talent of imposing hands, and she just came back from Central America. She went to a mass, a healing mass, and but she came back when I got there. She came back with a cold, so she's going to be in the chapel. But she knows about you already and other folks that came today with some ailments, and she'll pray from there. So I went to the front pew and I just kneel. I prayed and said, "Thank you for being here," and just prayed for their surgery on Thursday. And they started their praising and some beautiful music that they were playing, and then all of a sudden they would praise. And what happened, I didn't know that because I was in the first pew, but this lady, by the way, her name was Mary of the Angels. Imagine. She comes out. Wow. She comes out of the chapel and says, "Where is Georges? I need to pray for him." And so Daniela, she said, "Oh, he's that guy out there without hair in the front. Who you?" So I went. She went and grabbed my shoulder, and she goes, "Georges," in Spanish, because it was a Spanish prayer thing. So she said, Jorge, come with me. I'm going to pray for you in the back. So I followed her, and she started praying for me. Keegan, it was I don't know, in half a minute, I could not understand what she was saying. But I started crying and feeling this warm flow from my feet. It's probably my lymphatic system. I don't know, but I felt this warm water, liquid going through my body. And suddenly I just kind of like saw something like a I don't know what it was, some like a light or a white color, and I heard a whisper that said, "You'll be fine," something like that. And I just kept crying. Later on, I realized that crying is really a way to heal your soul. And for us men, they reprime it in many cases. Oh no, only girls cry. That's not so. So she finished and she asked me, "You have something big this week, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna have an operation in my brain to take a melanoma tumor out. It's my fourth one." And she says, "Oh, wait a minute again." So she started praying now, and she put her hands in my head, and again, and I just felt the same. I did my, I felt dehydrated with all this praying. And then she finishes. She says, look, young man, I have a feeling you don't need to have that surgery on Thursday,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't ask God, I please God help this guy. He's got 5 kids. I just say, man, you are the
Mm-hmm.
Almighty, so you
Mm-hmm.
heal this guy. So I go in front, and nobody knows now except her. But they
Uh-huh.
in the closing, everybody holds hands, and she says, "Oh, Jorge here. Georges is having a surgery on Thursday." So Danny says, "Oh my gosh, he never said that." But she
Mm-hmm.
started to think about the dream and all this stuff. So I get home. My wife didn't come with me,
Mm-hmm.
and I wasn't in treatment. This is something that happened after I decided to go natural, but there were still th- things. Melanoma is very aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
So she says, "What happened, man? You have a different. What happened to you?" Because she said, "You look different." And I told her, and she
Mm-hmm.
goes, "Well, what are you gonna do?" I said, "Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna sleep on it. I'm gonna meditate before I go to sleep. I'll do it in the morning, and I'll make the decision of it." So in the morning, she goes, "What are you gonna do?" Because now, by now, people thought I was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I quit all the conventional stuff, and now I'm not gonna do surgery because somebody pray for me. So I said, "No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. Let's
Mm-hmm.
go." But this is what happens, and then we waiting for
Mm-hmm.
on Thursday. Actually, no, we go Wednesday. On Wednesday, they were gonna do the MRI with a helmet so they can see where they can cut.
Uh-huh.
The surgeon, the neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
On Thursday, he comes with them. I mean, a smile from ear to ear, so positive, and so like he was though, a young guy
Mm-hmm.
too. Um, and he says, "Well, Mr. Cordoba, we have two pieces of good news for you." And my wife and I just looked at each other, and I just felt the same current that I told
Mm-hmm.
you that I received on Monday. I
Mm-hmm.
felt that again. And
Ah.
we looked at each other, and so he goes, "Which one do you want first?" And I go, "Doctor, they're both good." So go tell you, well, the first one is we had a long meeting with other Mayo clinics, and there's no need to do the operation with local anesthesia. We're going to put you to sleep. There's no dangers. So we
Oh
go,
wow.
"Oh, wow." He was the
Okay.
second one is that the two back lobe tumors are not
Mm-hmm.
showing in the MRI. And he
Wow.
goes, "It could be a false negative." So
Mm-hmm.
on Friday with the post surgery, we'll double check. So
Mm-hmm.
on the post surgery, the cat they removed everything. They said everything was good, and he said, "Man, yeah, the other tumors are gone."
Wow.
So it's a combination of the four legs of the table, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody can do it.
Yeah.
My keynote talk is the keynote because I have some on forgiveness and giving and receiving and the power of the mind, but is
Mm-hmm.
you can move your mountains, whether it's drug addiction, divorce, whatever it is, cancer, a chronic disease. You can move your mountains because if you understand that it's from the inside out and you work your butt off to really understand and feel good about your inside, you're going to be
Mm-hmm.
very careful about what you eat, how you sleep. That's another point that I work with people. The 24 hours of a human cycle that we
Mm-hmm.
disrupt. Many
Yep.
people don't sleep well or eat a whole cow before they go to sleep. you know,
Yeah.
so, but this is it. It's a reality, and now I'm more on the advocacy of prevention. Hey guys,
Mm.
there's a young lady in the front desk. She goes to an MSU here
Mm-hmm.
on my gym, and in the last 7 months, I've seen her going probably maybe 50 pounds uh, of weight, you know,
Mm.
up. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, something's going on with her. She could be my
Mm-hmm.
daughter. She's probably in mid 20s,
Mm-hmm.
but it is crazy. There's got to be some emotional reason there, like binging or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. So in my case, my purpose is such,
Mm-hmm.
Keegan,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't ask you how you pronounce it, but Keegan is right.
Yep. Yep.
Okay. It's really helping people, man, and that's what I say in my book.
Mm-hmm.
My survival experience gave me the chance to sing the song I was born to sing.
Uh-huh.
So in a subtle way, I'm a friendly person, but in a subtle way, I just approach somebody and say, look, or because I hear something, man, I'm trying this diet, man, I just feeling good, but then I go back to where I was. Of course, you haven't changed your habit. If you
Yeah.
have changed your habits, you're good, okay, for 6 weeks and you drop
Mm-hmm.
10, 15 pounds, but they go right back unless you change your habits. And the
Mm-hmm.
last thing I want to tell you, and then, is that recurrence on any
Mm-hmm.
disease, like I told you earlier, occurs until you find the root cause. Don't
Mm-hmm.
forget that. I already said it, but it is really important for the folks that are going through chronic disease, particularly cancer. In
Mm-hmm.
my case, I don't push anyone to make the decision of going 100% God's pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
They just do it, but they continue their chemo and all that stuff. But like I said, doctors start really wondering. They say, wait a minute, your thing that was not operable in between your lungs, breast cancer, for example,
Mm-hmm.
is just going down. This chemo must be working. What else are you doing? And they tell them, and say, well, keep doing it, keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had several success stories where the doctor said, man, we just stopped the chemo because you're free of cancer right now. And so
Mm-hmm.
again, things start really working from the inside out.
Awesome.
The subconscious mind does everything the conscious mind does. And that's
Mm-hmm.
another thing that I learned in that book. He gives the analogy like if you, Keegan, you are the captain of a ship, you have
Mm-hmm.
folks in the machinery room down that they don't know where they're going. They just take your orders. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how the mind and the subconscious mind work. So if we
Yep.
know that and we can believe on that, have faith that that's our amazing design. We have this
Mm-hmm.
wisdom called the gut feeling or whatever intuition. If we
Mm-hmm.
tap into that we give away since we were little, and it's obviously from our teachers, parents, anybody,
Mm-hmm.
we recover that and understand that, man, we have all this power inside,
Mm-hmm.
and put it to action. Not only you don't have to drop your treatment to go see the doctor. In fact, I would actually keep it in my arsenal. But
Yeah.
find other ways to protect your immune system, your good cells, and diminish the way the other cells are striving to grow.
Mm.
Because you're getting chemo, you need to alkaline that.
Yeah.
If you drink a can of soda, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
that
Okay.
has in between 10 and 12 teaspoons of refined sugar, you
Mm-hmm.
need to drink 32 glasses of water to go back to a balanced pH.
Oh.
One can.
Oh. Oh no.
Imagine people that have two or three a day, or the super size or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Oh no. I
Yeah,
had no idea. That is bad.
yeah,
Oh. uh well, George's you have an amazing story, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to read what you send us. And I mean, you said it earlier, you don't have enough time to get your whole story in. And so we're kind of at the end of the episode, but the thing is, I love having people on Retrieving Sanity multiple times because like you said, we there's no way we could get the entirety of
yeah.
your story out
Oh
there.
yeah, I'll be glad to, man. And this is something that people need to know for their own good, to teach their kids. When I have
Mm-hmm.
clients, I say, "Hey, practice this at home. Do a
Mm-hmm.
competition. Who choose more, and stuff like that. Because
Uh-huh.
it's not only us, but who our home.
Mm-hmm.
And I like to let people know if there's any final thing. I mean, they can you move their mountains, but people need to know that no one will believe in you until you believe in you.
Mm.
And that's that's really another universal law. There's a guy that I read a lot since I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
Robin Sharma from Canada. Oh man, he's got some great stuff. That guy has, and he's younger than me, but I always loved the way he writes, and
Mm-hmm.
I love this quote by him. It's not mine, but no one will believe in you until you believe in you.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, you
All
let me
right.
know, Keegan, and if you want, we'll do another one. We can maybe talk
Oh,
in more detail about the program or whatever you want to do.
for sure. It's not really a question of if I want you back on the show, it's when
Okay.
can we get you back on, because I got so many questions for you.
Okay.
Because I mean, I wanted to hear your story. So because now I can sit here and I can compile, like, actually compartmentalize everything that I've ingested. So now I can sit there, reflect on it, and be like, "Ooh, what about this though?" Because I
Yeah.
want to try to ask you some questions that not everyone's asked you.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if I'll be able to, but that's kind of what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
But
and you will. Something will pop up in there, and we're all different. So yeah,
Mhm.
and I'll be honored to share some more with you and your audience for sure.
Awesome.
I'm not sure if you received some of my information. I think so when I was applying, like some
Yes.
links.
I let me check real quick
If not,
while I got you
I'll
on.
send you the stuff like headshots or things like that.
Let's see. Right now, I don't have links yet,
Okay,
but I do have your email. So,
okay. What I'll do, send me
mhm.
an email and I'll
Okay.
send you the links and like a bio and I want to send you the ebook and the
Okay.
alkaline table that I mentioned. I want to send you the rules of the mind, a couple of things,
Okay. Well, that is.
that really are very helpful to understand it and have that being aware of those, and you
Mm-hmm.
can actually, manage your being because it's a
Mm-hmm.
holistic thing,
Uh-huh.
better. I mean,
Yeah.
if you really decide to do it, you won't be one of those two that I told you that will get cancer in their lifetime for sure.
Okay.
All
Well, I
right, so
really.
so send me an email and we'll do that, and then we'll
All right.
schedule another episode.
Sounds good. And
Thanks a
again,
lot,
I
man. God bless.
thank you very much. God bless you, and see you next time,
Yeah, take care.
Sean. So, everyone, that was George's Cordoba. I'm not sure why I keep trying to pronounce his name, Jorge. It's probably because that's how I read it, and he's from Venezuela. So, that's my bad, personally. But yeah, check out his stuff. He's going to drop us some PDFs and stuff. So, if you want to check those out, make sure to check out the podcast link at Spotify or on YouTube, or even go to, I don't know, retrievingsanity.com. And next time we have him on, we're going to actually dive deep down into why he chose holistic stuff and what kind of problems he may have had, even though he went holistic, because it can't all be ups, right? So there's going to be quite the conversation. It's going to be super interesting. I am super excited. Um, and I wasn't aware of his bestseller. So, I mean, if he's sharing some information with us, we probably better listen, right? So, anyways, if you've liked this episode, go ahead and check us out on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify. Leave a like, leave a comment, and most of all, most importantly, I should say, if we can teach our kids how to dial 911 in an emergency, we should be able to teach our friends and loved ones how to call 988 whenever they're having suicidal thoughts. And don't forget, everyone deserves a chance. And I love you. So, Schlan.